Right, thank you for staying with us. And this morning, we will be looking at governance and politics, especially what is happening in the opposition, starting with the People's Democratic Party. And the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, again, had a press conference, or, where he spoke on a range of things happening in his party, the People's Democratic Party. And part of what he said, many of the statements reads that, he said he has not seen anyone that will sack him from the PDP. And in that same press, sit down that they had with men of the pen pushers, pen pushers rather, he said, definitely everybody knows his body language. He's working with an Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government. And so, definitely, automatically, naturally, he will support him, at least for 2027. Now, we learned through the papers this morning that, the PDP and some opposition members are saying that is wrong. Why would you do that? And many persons will say, what do you expect him to do? He's working in an EPC government. He has Bola Ahmed Tinubu as his principal. And the man, most likely, will seek re-election. So where do you want him to pitch his tent? But then, there's the issue of anti-party. You can't be in party A and be working in party B. That's not the crux of the matter, but be supporting. So what happens to the loyalty? And PDP, to this end, till date, doesn't have that steel to say we're expelling. In fact, I said it severally, I dare them, to come at me and to sack me. In fact, he was quoted to have said, I've not seen anyone who will sack me from the PDP. And then there was a conversation, the back and forth between him and Chief Body George, saying the man has accused him of, feeding and being made. He has been fed and he has been made by the PDP. And has challenged Body George to say, who did Lagos PDP made? You are in Lagos. Who did you make in your Lagos? These are some of the issues as well. We get to talk about security as well, because what is happening in Benue is disturbing. But let's start with the politics. And we have the Director General at the Heritage Center with us, Dr. Kachan Onuju. He joins us virtually. Doctor, good to have you again. Good morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. And let's start from what, former Governor Wike said, in which it says, I have not seen anybody that will sack me from his party, from this party. This is where I belong. I've funded them. I financed the party. I carried the party for long. So even if I'm working with the APC government, and he has said, he wrote the party chairman, he wrote everybody that matters to the grassroots level when he wanted to take up the appointment, and they all endorse him. So nobody should complain right now. But where's the place of party supremacy? Will you still consider Nyesom Wike as a party man of the PDP?
Well, he has told you he's a party man. We have had this happen before under President Obasanjo, when Mr. Bola Ige was of the Alliance for Democracy was hired to be a minister, and he worked. I don't know his relationship with the party. I believe that issue, they went public national crisis with the party, as is the case with Mr. Nyesom Wike, whose actions are a reaction to the party's refusal to zone. That's where this issue is. The party's crisis is its refusal to zone. If it had zoned the presidency to the south, as it should have done, we would not have Nyesom Wike want to bring the party down. What he's doing is very simple. We collectively built this party, and if you say it will not be available to us from the south, why don't we just bring it down? So Wike's actions are a reaction to the Atiku Abubakar conundrum. If the party had done the right thing in 2023, by zoning the presidency to the south, whatever outcome it is, the party wouldn't have what it had today. So what they did was wrong. They refused to zone. If they had zoned and they had targeted a particular candidate, say they wanted to zone it to the southeast, they will have zoned to the southeast. The governors will agree to the southeast with one mind. They will go there and they will cause the voting to go to the southeast, and whoever they wanted will have a march. But they didn't do that. They allowed themselves to be compromised by Atiku Abubakar's 100 million, which he gave and then took form. And when he took that form, the party now had the conundrum of how do we now go on and make pronouncements on zoning when we're already spending Atiku Abubakar's 100 million. And that's the problem. So we couldn't move on that. The party was jinxed. In anger, we cannot say, let us jinx the party since the party is not available to the rest of us. The party, I understand, is making its moves now to zone the presidencies to the south as a way to probably get somebody like Peter Obi to come and help them to rebuild the party and unite the opposition. This is the game. So I see Wike's behavior as a reaction to the Atiku Abubakar conundrum. And this is a problem. This goes back to the time of Abiola. Abiola won election, but the Northerners wouldn't allow him to rule. It was, annulled. It came now, Buhari did 8 years for the North. The same Atiku Abubakar who formed MPDP, built the National Coalition, and got the Buhari administration voted into power, still comes to lead a band of Fulani leaders that they will still want to take the presidency after 8 years of Buhari. This is where the crisis came. And Wike now said, good, since you want to make sure we are not part of it, let us cuckoo damage the party. And we're there. But it takes the party coming together consciously to say, no, let us do the right thing. Zone it to the south, and that's all. Wike's blusters can always be checked if the party is united. It is not a big issue, okay? Yes, there could be some legal issues, trying to get rid of those that he has planted there over time, trying to correct the party from how he has now rearranged it, using Damagun and, of course, the National Secretary. All those things can be done. Luckily for the party, it has 2 years to go to election. If it is determined, Wike can be resolved, Wike can be handled, Wike's blusters can be checkmated, but the party has first and foremost to come together. It has to understand it did the wrong thing, apologize openly, and then start a process of bringing back members of the party from the south to now make it one united Nigerian party. As I said earlier, Wike's actions are simply a reaction to the Atiku Abubakar conundrum. Now, to try to still go against that need to zone the presidencies to the south, Atiku Abubakar and some of those other people are doubling down in saying they are forming alliance to remove the Southerner Tinubu who is in power. So what do you expect Wike to do? What do you really want him to do? He will do the same dirty things and telling you it is the turn of the South. And that's what a lot of Nigerians are thinking. Let the Southerners, the Northerners cool down and allow the Southerners inclusion in governance of this country.
All right, Dr. Nonuju, well said. So far, Nyesom Wike, he's been speaking, he has said a lot of things, but this morning, I'd like us to separate, I'm trying to separate the man from the message. Let's look at his message. For a while now, Nyesom Wike has come out publicly to say he has made serious contributions to the party. So far, no one has come out to challenge him on that statement. He keeps saying that he has contributed more than anyone else to the PDP, making sure that the PDP stands as a party. Recently, he accused, what was his name again? He accused this governor, or your state's governor, Seyi Makinde, thank you. Recently accused Seyi Makinde of not keeping to their agreements, that they had some gentleman agreement, but Seyi Makinde is actually working against the party, trying to bring the party down, sabotaging the agreements they had. Then after that, just last week, Chief Bode George accused Nyesom Wike of sacrilege, saying he betrayed the party by shutting down the PDP secretariat in Abuja. Nyesom Wike has fired back, daring Bode George to name who PDP has made in Lagos, because Bode George said the PDP made you. Bode George is telling Wike that the PDP made you. We gave you a platform, you became strong. Now you're working against the party. But Wike is saying, fine, if the PDP made me, you tell me who has the PDP made in Lagos. My question to you is this: in all of this, in all the claims Wike has been making, no PDP members come out openly, okay, to counter his allegations, saying that he has contributed so much to the party and that no one can remove him from the party.
Historically, the party has depended on money from the South. If they don't get money from Delta State, they get from River State. If they don't get from River State, they get from Akwa Ibom State. So they target the southern states that are very rich to fund the PDP. Nyesom Wike is not the first. Nyesom Wike that has been the tradition of the party, to take money off southerners. Southern rich states like Delta is because of the exposure of Delta State treasury to the party. That's what informed the campaign of Governor Okowa and Governor Sheriff, because of the excessive exposure that occurred. And when the EFCC came for Governor Okowa, and what he just did was, okay, instead of this trouble, Sheriff, current governor, come. The money I used to sponsor you to become governor is part of what they are coming now to hold us for. Let us now decamp to APC so that this trouble can end. And that's what happened. So, yes, it is historically that way. When you run for governorship, when you want to look after the party, when you run to presidency, the money that is used to run for presidency has historically come from the South. And so this is the very first time that the Southerners who now bring the money to run the party are now demanding that, look, we fund the party. Why don't you now want us to be included in the scheme of things when it comes to governance? What he's saying is very simple. We, the states from the South, bring the money to run presidential election of the party, to stabilize the party. How come when it comes to inclusion, you, the people in the North, don't want the presidency to go to the South? That's why he said, if we are going to bring so much money from the South to fund the PDP, and then the Northerners will now depend on some constructed numbers by the military to insist that the Southerners are not part of the governance of the country through the party's instrument of zoning, why don't we then bring down the whole house? That's what he is doing. That is simply that. If this party knows that the funding of the party historically comes from the South, why would it be that when it gets to the time for presidency, the Northerners will now try to hold on to the advantage of the fraudulent numbers constructed by the military, who were mostly Northerners, and insist that the Southerners should not become part of the governance of the country? And that is why he says, since you're not going to allow us to have a say, despite using our money to fund the party, let us now bring it down. That's what Wike is doing.
All right.
So the earlier these leaders from the North understand this particular sentiment, the better for all of us.
Dr. Nonju, let's look at this other aspect. So far, the PDP has a sway in the South-South, not until recently when we saw some defections, like you just mentioned, Delta State. The governor, of course, the ex-governor, moving to the APC. But so far, generally, the South-South has been held by the PDP. Let's come to the Southwest. The PDP seems to be crumbling gradually in the Southwest. Let's take a look at Lagos, for instance. Since 1999, PDP has not been able to take Lagos from the AD and, of course, the APC right now. The question is, Dr. Nonju, why is it so? If truly the PDP made Wike and he was able to hold the River State for so long, how come PDP, not just Wike, just before him, of course, we had other governors, but again, he was able to hold a party in Rivers for 8 years and, of course, still handed over to someone, to Fubara. The question is, how come Lagos State PDP has not been able to make anyone, just like Wike said? What do you think the problem is in Lagos State PDP? Why can't they make someone? If truly the party makes people, why couldn't the Lagos State PDP make someone, a strong political figure, I mean, to take power from opposition in Lagos State?
Historically, the PDP had its very strong foundations in the old Eastern region. The old Eastern region is composed of the Southeast and the South-South geopolitical zones. That's true. Historically, the old Western region, where Lagos belongs to, has been loyal to AD, has been loyal to ACN, and right now we're part of the foundation blocks for the APC, even though the APC lost the last election in Lagos State to Peter Obi. But then these are the truth about our diversity. So questioning our diversity, it's not proper. We are that diverse. And because we are diverse, we stick to that diversity even in our political preferences. That's why I told you the other day that because of our diversity, Nigeria could never, succumb into becoming a one-party state. That is not possible. So that our diversity has historically shown in our political preferences, and that's the way it has been. Yes, that is true. Old Eastern region, where the Southeast and the South-South are composed, have historically been the bedrock of the PDP. And that's why when the Old Eastern region demands that the PDP now zone its presidency as she should be, since it has gone first to the Southwest, the Old Western region, and Prince Obasanjo got it. Now the Old East insists it was its turn, because it has supported the party along its historical period of formations and it being okay. When the party refused to zone, the East now left the PDP, and that's why the PDP is in current crumbling state. The PDP cannot survive without the old Eastern region. It is because the East left the PDP, that's why the PDP looks like it is now comatose and moribund. If the PDP is to get its act together, it has to now embrace that truth that it has been a party funded by the old Eastern region. So there is no two ways about it. If you now have your funders complaining against you, then you have to sit up and do something. So the idea of some Fulani leaders now thinking that they have captured Nigeria, they've captured the party, and because of Buhari's employment of nepotism as his policy, that suddenly nobody in Nigeria means anymore, and then you now try to now practice that in the PDP, well, you have now seen a reaction from some people from the old Eastern region. Don't forget that. Wike's mentor politically and senior brother, Senator Mbata, is currently President General of Ohaneze Ndibo, from the same local government. No matter the rhetorics or acrobatics Wike tells you, Wike is an Ikwere man, is an Igbo man. So the Igbos are not happy with the North for refusing to respect zoning. That was why the Igbos did not join in the last nationwide protest against President Tinubu. They were simply saying, when you refuse to zone to the east, we will not join you in protesting against Tinubu, since Tinubu is a product of, according to El-Rufai and Governor Matawale, their Muslim ticket. So all sorts of things were done in the last election against the East. So if you now see some of the people in the East act this way, as Wike is acting, you should understand those actions are simply reactions against what they believe those people from the North, mostly Fulani leaders, have done to the party, and in this case, to a commonly owned vehicle called a political party, which the East insists they funded. And so, if you don't carry the East along and the East are reacting this way, you don't need to be surprised at what is going on. No matter what Wike says, Wike is an Igbo man. So if Igbos are not happy with the PDP, and then you got an Igbo man like Wike acting this, even if you ask him, say, I'm not Igbo, there's nothing wrong with that. Tinubu can say he's not Yoruba, there's nothing wrong with that. Those are words, that's an opinion. It's an opinion which the UN recognizes to be an opinion of convenience. You know, Makinde can come and say, no, I'm not Yoruba, don't put me in that Yoruba story, I'm not part of it. That is an opinion of convenience. So the crux of the matter is what I'm breaking down for you. The Old East, principally the Igbo areas, are saying the PDP messed them up. That's why they withdrew from the PDP and followed P2B. So those who didn't withdraw stayed in the PDP to shoot the PDP a lesson. Let the Fulani leaders understand that Nigeria doesn't belong to them alone. As the East refused to join them to protest against Tinubu, they should understand that it goes further than that. So trying to form an alliance and they're trying to now say, I'll go first, P2B will not agree because he knows that the Igbos still will not agree to such nonsense.
All right.
Until the Fulani leaders understand their mistake and zone the presidency to the East. All right. There will be no peace in the PDP.
All right. Now, so much. Let's expand the conversation to the opposition politics, where it has been, in fact, it was reported in one of the dailies this morning, where I think it was the APC who spoke about what is happening in the opposition parties and some of these opposition figures, and they responded. That's reacting to Atiku Abubakar, Amechi, and El Rufai. And they said that those three men are being united by desperation. Whatever they are doing is just they are just desperate politicians, and you know, nobody should really take them seriously. And when we want to look at some of these people who now appear to be championing the cause of the people, speaking on insecurity, speaking on politics, speaking on the state of the nation, one would say Rotimi Amechi, you know, for example, was Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly for years. He was two-time governor of Rivers State. He was minister, one of the super ministers under Buhari. And he has only left government. He has been at the corridor of power since forever, you know, since he came into power in different capacity. They have only left power for like 2 years. Same thing happened to El Rufai, you know, from the BP, he became a minister. From the minister, he became a governor 2 terms, and all of these things. He has only left power, being a governor, for 2 years. Vice President Atiku was vice president for 8 years, and, you know, he has been struggling to become president. One would say, is this really the kind of opposition that we need? What exactly is the thing that has make them to come together, if not what the APC attempts to be desperation? That you guys, you have been in power for long, only 2 years out of power, and Atiku's perpetual, you know, this thing that he has, that he just wants to be president, that you guys are not speaking for the people. When you are in power, you are not saying any of these things. Just a few years after you have left power, you are now appearing to be speaking for the people. You are not speaking for the people. You are just desperate lot. Do you agree, really, with the APC that it's just a result of desperation? And in your own opinion, as a political watcher, as a politician yourself, and a leader of thought, what exactly is the rallying factor for these characters that have come up?
It's desperation. Desperation. Chibika Amechi, my friend and brother, his own is... he was in power, and his legacy as minister is when he now constructed the standard gauge railway line. He built it to Maradi in Niger Republic. He did not build anyone to the old eastern region where he's from. He actually excluded the East and the standard gauge railway problem. That is his own. So he's desperate for power, and I understand, because he also was a competitor against President Tinubu. Tinubu had an arrangement with Wike in 2018, which in 2019 made sure Amechi did not have a governorship candidate in Rivers State that he produced, and that continued till even the last election. So as for El-Rufai, El-Rufai, it was known to have promoted the Fulani killings in the north. He's now blaming the current administration of not doing enough about the killings. Those are just lies. And as for Atiku, his own, you know that his desperation to be president. Atiku became a Nigerian in 1961, and since then has been very lucky. 9 years after he became a Nigerian, Nigeria has been so sweet to him that he joined the customs and he has become what he is, a vice president. Yet, he doesn't understand what nation building is.
Because how do you mean Atiku became a Nigerian in 1961? How do you mean?
That's the truth. Atiku was born in German Cameroon. When Germany lost the Second World War, Cameroon was shared amongst the French and the English. In 1961, the English did a plebiscite and brought in 8 parts of southern northern Cameroon into Nigeria, and that was in 1961. After that bringing in, Atiku now became a Nigerian. I think Atiku was not a Nigerian by birth. He was born in German-owned Cameroon.
All right.
But when Germany lost the Second World War, it was taken off them and shared among the French and the English. The English did a plebiscite in 1961, and that was how the English allocated part of Cameroon became part of Nigeria in 1961. Atiku became a Nigerian in 1961. He was not born a Nigerian. And this is what it is. That's why Atiku does not appreciate nation building. Every time he wants to come and run, every time he doesn't understand the emotional divide between the North and the East. And the reasons why, when the North has gone, he should allow the South to go. So this is the reasons why you need to understand. Atiku doesn't feel the Nigerian that me and you feel, because we're historical Nigerians. We understand the divide between the North and South, even after the amalgamation. So Atiku doesn't understand Nigeria from that perspective. So that's what it is.
Dr.
He wasn't born
there are some Nigerians who see, political watchers, leaders of thought, possibly like yourself, who says, as we currently have right now, for whatever it is, that maybe Atiku Abubakar is the most detribalized Nigerian and is elitist. Yes, he might be old, you know, by age, but he's an ally who understands current things and how things are done globally because he has been there. You don't agree?
That is true. That is not true. You know, detribalized Nigerian is, you know, you don't become detribalized by the repeated propagations. You don't become who you are because you say so and you pay hangers on to say you're detribalized. How do you know he's detribalized? It's not. He can't keep a wife from anywhere else if not himself, if not those from his area. What happened? So leave Atiku out of that tribalization argument. If he were detribalized, he will respect the tribal emotions and the need for different sections of Nigerians to be included in nation building. He's now being used to undermine the unity and the need for inclusion, and that's what he is. Whether you like it or not, he will be best remembered for being used to undermine the North-South emotions in regards to nation building.
All right.
Since he runs, every time he runs, he doesn't care about this. Remember in 2019, all Southerners did not run for the presidency in the PDP because there was a need to say it was zoned to the North. And that was how he emerged. And we all went around. I was a member of the presidential campaign team. I traveled on aircraft with Atiku. I went to 34 states with him. With Atiku, I went to 34 states of the Federation. Peter Obi was, at that time, the vice presidential candidate. And every time when we flew, I was there always in the aircraft, and I have pictures to show it. So this is to tell you, if we have supported you, then Why don't you now support the Southerners? He refuses to do that. And the Fulani leaders kept using him to try to accentuate their issue about their need to succeed in their quest to create Nigeria into a settler colonial entity. Settler colonialism would not work for the Fulanis in Nigeria. It didn't work for the Boers in South Africa. It didn't work in Namibia. It didn't work in Zimbabwe. It didn't also work in other countries. You know, so let us just leave that alone.
All right,
the
Dr.
only way settler colonialism worked in Australia and in America was that the people were killed. So if killing Nigerians currently right now, don't forget, he has never been known publicly to speak against the Fulani militia killings.
We are coming to that. We are coming to that. Still on the show this morning, we are still coming to that, Dr. Nju. But just before then, looking at the events where all the statements were made, the ceremony to mark the 60th birthday of Rotimi Amechi in Abuja. Of course, Atiku was there, El Rufai was there, Wole Soyinka was there. Then someone else too was there. That's Emir of Kano, who was also former CBN governor, talking about Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, or whether he's Mohammed Sanusi now. He was there. He made a statement. He said that while, as an economist and former CBN governor, that he saw figures, but he never saw the reality of poverty until he became emir. That was what Sanusi said, that he never, felt that touch with the reality of poverty in Nigeria until he became emir, that now he has traveled to villages. I mean, he saw the kind of water, he saw the kind of water the people drink, I mean, how they sleep outside and all that. So, he's saying he never knew poverty was this real in Nigeria. So my question is, do you see any sincerity in this leader? Just before you respond, Dr. Nunju, we are due for a break. When we return, I'd like you to attend to that question. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. We've been speaking, talking about the crisis in the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, and of course, opposition politics generally in Nigeria. And we've been speaking with Dr. Kach Ononuju, DG, Heritage Center, and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for staying with us, Dr. Ononuju.
Thank you for having me.
So just before we went on that break, I was asking you, if you saw any form of sincerity in our leaders, in Nigerian leaders. We've talked about Amechi, we've talked about El Rufai, you also talked about, of course, Atiku himself. So I was asking you about Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido, who was, of course, former CBN governor. He made a statement. He said that as an economist, and of course, the former CBN governor, that he was just seeing figures. He never knew poverty was real in Nigeria until he became emir, which brought him closer to the people. He saw firsthand how much the people are suffering, especially in northern Nigeria. My question is, Dr. Nonju, do you really see any sincerity in these leaders?
No, there is no sincerity in such talks. Northern Nigeria is home to humanity's largest concentration of children without access to formal education, because the Pakistan and in Afghanistan are the same as the Al-Manjari institution in northern Nigeria. The Al-Manjari institution is responsible for the poverty in northern Nigeria, and that's why northern Nigeria has been declared as the poverty capital of the world. It is in that place, and this didn't start today. In a report over 200 years ago by Hugh Clapperton to the British government, it says that it is the ways of the Fulani leaders that has impoverished the Hausas. As I speak to you today, when the Fulani leaders came in 1804, they did what you see them doing right now, using herdsmen to take over territories, and then after the militias take over the territory, the Fulani elite will go there and rule over them. As I speak to you today, no Hausaman is emir, apart from the emir of Ankara and the emir of Daura. No Hausaman is emir, apart from those two, anywhere in Hausa land. So yes, we may have had our independence, but in northern Nigeria, Hausas are still colonized to this day by the Fulanis. And that's why you see the Fulanis trying now to extend that advantage they have over the Hausas to the rest of the country. That is the reason for the current insecurity. The insecurity you're seeing is a strategy to capture lands and then administer over them after time. That's why the governor of Plateau State is stating that a lot of the capturing of lands being done by the Fulanis in the Benue and Plateau areas are now lands that are being renamed by the Fulanis. And for the Nigerian government to now sit back and do nothing, that's why the Nigerian government is seen and suspected to be complicit in these killings, these ethnic cleansings by the Fulani militiamen. Now, this is a problem for Nigeria. And because of Tinubu has stopped the Fulani war machine, so to say, in some way, because he has made sure Fulanis are no more at the top in the DSS, in the police, in the army, and a lot of other security areas where Buhari put people and then Fulanis were coordinating these militia actions. Don't listen to these people making this noise. They secretly support these militia actions, but that's why you will see them openly criticize the ethnic cleansing actions like it happened under El-Rufai in Kaduna. The ethnic cleansing war in Kaduna under El-Rufai was on industrial scale. So there is no truth in the word you hear them say. They privately support the militia men because they have a tribal intention to appropriate the country. And that's part of the reason why you see it is very dangerous for Nigerians to allow any Fulani leader. Now, when Buhari was there with the Fulani cabal, they allowed a distribution of this violent gun-bearing people who came from Mali, mostly, and Central African Republic in our bushes. Now that Tinubu doesn't want them, and Tinubu is trying to suggest things like forest guard, even though Tinubu doesn't seem very serious on the pronouncements, the Fulani leaders are in panic. So a lot of the things you're hearing are a consequence of panic. And that panic they have, I believe Nigerians should play onto it and make sure that we do not let off. Don't let them come to power. If you allow any Fulani leader to come to power, the country is gone. We can't afford to do that right now in the middle of the Fulani war across this country.
Yeah, the last time we spoke on this matter, I remember there was a back and forth on it, even on the program, even outside of the program, what we were trying to say, yes, the realities are there, and that's what you are speaking to. But then, because we don't want to offend the sensibility of every Nigerian, yet we must speak you to power. That's why I said at the other time, so that we don't demonize a singular tribe, even when there are people with horrible intention, within them. That's why I spoke to that, and I'm trying to bring that stance this morning as well. Even while you're on ground and you have spoken extensively on your trips, on your travelings, in researching some of these issues, which is why, we speak with you. But now, there is this alignment, realignment across party lines, tribes, tongues, languages, religion. Politicians are gathering right now. We've spoken about some of them that have come up publicly, the El-Rufais, the Ameches, everybody speaking at this time, especially those of them that were the APC bloc, is a certain bloc who, they have been schemed out of power, or they are not in the good books of the power that be right now, and in the PDP as well, all of Babachir, Lawal, former SGF, all of those people at the national level, at the subnational level, they are gathering right now. Being headed by Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, conversations are ongoing. What should Nigerians believe them? Because many of these people are contributed one way or the other to where Nigeria is right now. And they are now coming in support of Nigerians to say, oh, the ruling party right now are not doing well. As a Nigerian yourself, how should Nigeria approach these people when they are being spoken to right now? Because 2027 is not far away. What should Nigerians look out for?
That's why I'm telling you, mine is to explain the intricacies of these issues. I am part and parcel of what's going on.
All right.
But I want to tell you that the people you see now perambulating, telling you they are doing alliance, they are not doing alliance. These are conspirators. These are the same people who conspired against President Goodluck. And what you will ask yourself is, how come, after conspiring against Goodluck and bringing Buhari to power, how far all of them have been displaced by fate and nature? This is where it works. So for me, we have learned our lessons. And I tell you what I say, you know, when you say don't blackmail, I tell you, how many of the Fulani leaders publicly condemn the actions of the Fulani militiamen? They don't. El-Rufai is a principal player in helping the Fulani kill and do all this, and nothing happens. How many of them were arrested under Buhari's 8 years? El-Rufai was a governor. Remember what he said? That the government is okay with the activities of the Fulani terrorists because the terrorists are involved in business. But now, he is now saying that the country is now being ruled by bandits. Yet, it was him and Matawali that, according to his words, that engineered.
You know, Doctor, I had to put all those people because it's, yeah, fair enough on, you know, El-Rufai.
Why are you
how about Patutomi? How about Atiku Abubakar? How about Peter Obi himself? How should Nigerians see all of them?
Well, listen to me. Peter Obi has only gone to listen as he's invited. Peter Obi is not part of those conspiring. He has already told them he will not run on their ticket. He will run on his Labour Party ticket. And that's why you see them now believing that if Peter Obi will not join them to conspire, let them now recruit Amechi to conspire together. Amechi conspired against Goodluck, so he is a conspirator general. That is him. They will always conspire and conspire and conspire. But then Nigerians have become well aware of these people and their stock in trade. The conspiration will not work. Go and mark that for me. What Peter Obi is doing is joining them and listening to them and looking at them, but he's not going to be part of them. Because the conspiration you see is all geared towards getting another Fulani leader to now try to say they want power. Why? Tinubu has stopped their war machine on its tracks. And that's the reason for this desperation you're seeing. Call who you're calling. Amechi just wants to go there and maybe they'll use him to then fill in the cap. But he will not win. Nobody will vote for him in the East. In the East, where he comes from, he refused to cite any of his rail, the standard gauge rail infrastructure. Instead, he took it from Kanu to Maradi in Niger Republic. So is that who you're... Those people don't have the people at heart. They don't talk for the people. So forget those people, please.
Okay. All right, Dr. Nonuju, we just lost connection there. We'll try to re-establish connection. I believe he's still with us. So much to say about the people. He's saying...
no, for the people.
Oh, all right. You're back with us. Dr. Nonuju, I'd like us to shift gears right now. Let us look at the insecurity in Benue State. At the beginning of the program, we talked about it, how people are being killed regularly in Benue State, and the federal government is not saying anything about it. Just recently, on Sunday, there was another attack in Benue. About 43 people were killed. A week ago, about 40 people, innocent lives, innocent Nigerians, were killed in Benue, and now we have another 43. According to reports, a resident who simply identified himself as Tony told journalists in Makurdi on telephone that over 25 corpses have been counted in Ediku and Pali. And of course, burial arrangements are already underway for some of them. Someone else also spoke, chairman of Gwe West local government area, Victor Ormini, expressed deep frustration, saying, "I'm tired of speaking to journalists. Exactly a week ago, I told you about the killing of over 40 people. Today again, we are counting the dead. Dr. Nonju, this has gone on for so long. The killings in Benue State. Innocent Nigerians are being killed. What do you say to this? And so far, the federal government has not taken any decisive position on the killing in Benue State. This has gone on too far. Nigerians are dying every day. I went through the accounts. I felt really bad for the victims. Some of them, according to one account, some of them had to jump into wells just to escape these killers. They came, they opened fire, started killing people. 40 just a week ago. Another 43 just 2 days ago. What actually is happening in Benue State?
The Fulani war across Nigeria is centered around the Benue Basin, the Plateau Ranges, the Mambila Plains. They seek land with grass and water. That's what's happening. And that's the reasons why we now say that it will be dangerous for Nigeria to vote in a Fulani candidate as president right now in the middle of the Fulani war, since all the Fulani leaders have not shown publicly any need to castigate, condemn these actions by Fulani militiamen. And don't forget, El-Rufai was part and parcel of this particular Fulani war machine. And that's what I've been saying when your colleague tried to call me to order. We don't have to be quiet in Nigeria when we are being killed. If you keep quiet in Benue, you still get killed. You keep quiet, you make noise in Plateau, you still get killed. So let us talk. Let us reveal the truth about this war across our country and not pretend it doesn't exist. It is also the reasons why I said it would be wrong for a Fulani leader to succeed President Buhari in the middle of the Fulani war across Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Nonju,
you have brought it up.
Yeah, just before you proceed, yes, I brought it up. And this morning, Dr. Nonju, this is no holds barred. I'm not going to hold you. I really want you to vent. I want you to speak because I felt touched when I read some of those accounts. Again, Dr. Nonju, let us look at it from this angle. So far, we've been having all these killings in Benue State. We have top police officers there in Benue State. We have top military officers right there. No one has resigned. No one has been sacked. All the security agencies are there. And we keep having these repeated attacks, loss of lives of innocent Nigerians. What exactly do you think the problem is? Why is nobody addressing it? And the governor is right there. We have politicians around the country. Everyone is talking about 2027, about re-election, busy endorsing the president. Why is no one addressing the killings in Benue State headlong at this time?
Most of the politicians want to be politically correct. They don't want to offend the sensibility of Fulani leaders. That's why they are not trying to address it. The Fulani leaders under Buhari made sure they promoted people in the security services who will allow this war to sustain the way it is now going on. President Tinubu has not yet been able to surgically remove officers in the military who are sympathetic towards the cause of the Fulanis, who are bent on taking over Kaduna, Benue, Plateau, Taraba, and any other state within that trend that goes towards the rainforest. You see that? They're trying to use the Benue Valley to gain access into the rainforest. Don't forget, this crisis originally started in Central African Republic. When the Fulanis were driven away, they came to Benue. When Suswan said he doesn't have land to give them, they tried to kill him. Now, their concentration on Benue, Plateau, Kaduna, that if you look at that geography, it is where they're looking out. They're looking at the water. They're looking at the land. They want to ethnically cleanse the people there so they can take the land and establish settler colonialism. And that's what I told you earlier. Settler colonialism would not work in Nigeria. It didn't work in Mozambique. It didn't work in Zimbabwe. It didn't work in Namibia. It didn't work in South Africa. It's not going to work. And for it to work, you need to now allow the massacring and program that is going on in these areas. President Tinubu needs to wake up and act to protect lives and properties, because the first duty of any government is the protection of life and properties of the citizens. So in that regard, I say the Tinubu administration has not done very well and it needs to do more. So, but because of the need to appear politically correct and not to offend the Fulani leaders who are in support of this issue, That's why you see politicians don't want to speak or act or do anything to undermine this particular war. So that's why the DGSSS said that Nigerians should resort to self-help. Same thing that General Danjuma have said. Same thing that President Tinubu was speaking to when he was now suggesting about the embrace of forest guards. Forest guards is a system where the people will now nominate their own sons. From what I'm hearing, it is 15 persons per autonomous community across the country. If we do that, then we might have the local people empowered under the under the presidency to carry guns and look after their forests. But the earlier we do this, the better. We shouldn't just allow the announcements to take the place of actions, or Nigerians will be totally wiped out in those belts of the Benue Basin and the Plateau Ranges.
All right, Dr.
I believe.
I'll let you continue with our line of thoughts. We're due for a break now. When we return, we'll continue with the conversation. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. We've been talking about insecurity in Benue State, the mass killings going on. Recently, 43 people were killed again. The local government chairman of Gwe West local government area said he's frustrated. He's tired of talking to journalists because he keeps saying the same thing over and over again. And it seems the governments are just spectators in what is going on. So far, nothing has been done. What we've seen are just politicians who are preoccupied with re-election and elections, not really talking about governance and their sole responsibility to protect the lives of citizens of their constituencies. We've been speaking with Dr. Kach Ononuju, the DG of Heritage Center and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for staying with us, Dr. Ononuju.
Thank you very much for having me still.
Just before we went on that break, we were talking about Benue State, and you were trying to explain the dynamics of the politics of what is going on there, the cause of the insecurity and the mass killings. You suggested that the government should expedite actions, talking about the creation of forest guards, empowering the people to protect themselves. But again, Dr. Onju, would this be enough? Judging by the scale of killings going on in Benue State, how soon should we have this put in place just to curb the unnecessary loss of lives in Benue State and other parts of Nigeria as well?
The most important action by government would be to remove these killers from lands that they take, and as Plateau State Governor said, that they also rename. Once there are no gains from these actions, I don't see them doing it again. But the fact that the government does nothing, they will take the land and they will be allowed to live on the land, then they will now believe that there are profits for their ventures, and then they will do more. Until the government shows consequences.
I'm afraid we lost the signal right there. We tried to reestablish connection, but why we wait? Benue State is
against these people. Believe that Nigerians, as I said, as I'm telling you now, if Nigerians do not demand for consequences against these people who kill Nigerians, who mostly are not Nigerians, most of them speak Bambara and French, and they come from Mali. They've been displaced from central Mali due to the war between the Fulani and the Dogons. So they come here to try to displace Nigerians, employing ethnic cleansing. And the program going on in Plateau, the reasons you see the government don't want to get in, some people in government think that they don't want to offend Fulani leaders who are very emotionally attached to a need to take over the Benue Valley, take over the Plateau Plains, and resettle these Fulani refugees who have come from central Mali as a consequence of the war between the Dogons in central Mali and the Fulanis. I believe once you are able to remove these people and then bring back Nigerians who are currently headed into IDP camps and resettle them back in their villages, these Fulani militia men will stop, because then they see that no matter what they try to gain, the government will still come at the end of the day to cancel it. They will stop these ethnic cleansing actions. But when the government sits and does nothing, and they cannot keep the land that they so capture, and as the Plateau State governor says, rename the land with new names, then you can't stop them from doing more of these things that they are doing. Let us show them that there are negative consequences for these killings that they are doing. That's when they will stop. If there are no consequences for these killings, they will continue. And as for the politicians who don't want to do anything because they don't want to offend Fulani leaders who are hell-bent in having this thing become successful so that these Fulanis can be resettled in Plateau and Benue and Taraba and Niger with Kaduna State and wherever they choose to stay, it is wrong. Let us now act on behalf of Nigerians. And that's another thing you have to see. You see the governor earlier, though he bears a Christian tag as a pastor, he's a fake man.
How do you mean? How do you mean, Dr. Nonuju?
The governor is not sincere. That is why the killings have been going on. If the governor is sincere, he would not stay there, fold his hands, and his people are being wiped out. But
hold on, Dr. Nonuju. Just before you proceed, please hold on. The governor, Reverend Father Hyacinth earlier, categorically fingered the ECOWAS protocol as the cause of these killings. He's saying
that is not true.
ECOWAS protocol that allows for cross-border grazing is the root cause of the killings. That's what he said.
That is not true. That is not true. The ECOWAS protocol allows for cross-border movement of goods and services. It did not dictate cross-border movement of terrorists. As far as you see that they are terrorists and they are killing your people to take over their land, you stop them. You don't say that because they come from other ECOWAS countries and you kill your people.
But does he have the power?
ECOWAS never allowed
Dr. Nonuju,
movement of terrorists.
Does he have the power to stop them? Does the governor of Benue State, Governor Hyacinth earlier, does he have the power to stop them?
Yes.
How do you mean?
He has the powers. He should follow the advice of the DGDSS, organize local militia people, empower them with necessary tools, let them go and work. In my village, we have vigilantes. Let the governor strengthen the vigilantes. The governor is playing politics, APC politics, and that's why he's keeping quiet. This is exactly what happened when Governor Autumn was in the APC. He couldn't do anything. He was asked to look the other way. He looked the other way. Never mind the governor's words. These are just deceitful words. How can you tell me that the ECOWAS protocol on free movement of goods and services is the reasons why you should allow free movement of terrorists from ECOWAS countries to come and kill your people? Does the ECOWAS protocol talk about free movement for people who move to come and kill people and take lands? What kind of talk is that? ECOWAS protocol didn't allow for movement of terrorists and for terrorists' right to take over land. The ECOWAS protocol also talk about taking land and renaming lands. Forget about what Governor Elia is not honest. He is a fake governor. He is a curse unto his people. That is not a good man.
All right, that's quite a strong one there. But then leaders.
Because I am very pained at the shedding of innocent Nigerian blood.
We all are, because
we all are not. Some of us are happy. Some of us are looking to capture the land.
I'm sure no patriotic or right-thinking Nigeria or human should be happy at the death and carnage happening, in Benue State. But
you are the one that calling Atiku detribalized. Has Atiku ever condemned these killings?
So that will put this.
Has he ever condemned them?
All right.
Has he ever condemned the killings? No, he has not.
Dr. Nonuju, if I may, thank you. So that we'll put it right here, for posterity's sake. This is not anybody holding anybody back from saying the truth to power. In fact, we recognize and we appreciate your thought, especially on national issues. But then, so it's not a matter of anybody holding anybody back or venting. No, there are roots guiding every profession, and I'm sure So, but then, two truths can always coexist, and that's why we value your thought every time on national issues no ulterior motive in holding anybody back, right at all. But we're professionals here, and we must hold that duty very strongly. But let me ask you now. You have just spoken about Father Hyacinth earlier. Same thing, almost the same thing happened. And it was quite like everybody was just saying the rhetorics, and there are people who have been killed. Now, like a week ago, the same father earlier, that's Governor Alia, I stay with Governor Alia now, expressed deep outrage and sorrow over the killing of at least 42 people, including a mobile police officer, and the shooting of a Catholic priest by herders, suspected armed herders in Gua West local government area of the state. This was a report from the Punch on 27th of May, and this has been going on over and over. At the national level, you spoke about President Tinubu earlier, and you said, maybe there are some conspirators on religious and tribal lines who wouldn't do what they are supposed to do. But when President Tinubu came in, many persons saw him like a departure from the usual. At least he's from the south, and he should be somebody of his own who really should mean well for the people. And maybe they saw the body language, and it appeared like things were improving. But right now, Baba Gana Zulum is talking. At the northeast, something is happening in the Benue. In fact, the Benue is more like a killing field right now. Let's say it as it is. There are issues on the plateau and some of these places. Do you think President Tinubu, let's take him for who he is now, he's the president. We know it's antecedent, and with what you know of him, do you think he is doing enough? And what can he do, at least to create that history for himself as somebody who is doing something different from the normal on security in Nigeria?
His body language makes me want to believe that he means well. His actions tells me he's not doing enough. What you must do if you want to stop it, let there be consequences. Don't allow the thief to keep what he stole. And what are they stealing? They are stealing land. Take the land off them, remove them from the land, arrest them, prosecute them for coming there, and the process that brought them there is that they killed and ethnically cleansed the indigenous people who owned the land and stayed on it previously. If Tinubu's administration does not move to arrest those they meet on any land, as Governor Muftwang of Plateau says, that they live on the land and they rename the land. So the reasons for these ethnic cleansings is to kill the owners of the land and take over their land. When government goes to wherever the land is taken, whoever is taking it over, arrest them, and then ask them who and who did the killing for them to come to take it over. If they say they don't know, it's not true. Our laws have it on Section 516, conspiracy. They can be charged as conspirators, conspiring with people to kill the people, remove them from their land, and then take over their land. I think that's very clear, 512 and 516 are very clear on this issue, so we don't have to play about it. We must go on. It is only when Tinubu has started restoring the indigenous people back to their ancestral lands that I will tell you he's doing something. And only when you start putting them back to this ancestral land that you'll be able to deter the Fulani militias from killing these people just to take over their land and then come and do it. The security
architecture in Nigeria, as we currently have, the Chief of Army Staff, the Naval Staff, the Air Force, the Nigerian Police, NSCDC, all the security architecture in Nigeria as we currently have, and their headship, do you think they have the wherewithal to make this happen?
The headship and the corrupting of the headship and what I would call the Afghanization of our security services by President Buhari is actually what got the security services to start colluding with these militiamen, as General Danjuma said.
But we have a change right now.
So
Dr. Kaj, they have been changed right now. President Tinubu came in and he has changed the headship of this architecture.
I understand. It is one thing to change the headship. It's also another thing to change the orientation of the rank and file. You need to change it. Changing the headship is not the only thing. Change the headship and bring somebody with a message. How long has that message been orientated around the rank and file? so and so, you must protect Nigerians. Your oath is not to politicians. Your oath as a soldier is to the Constitution. These things need to happen. It has not yet happened. That's why you're seeing blames on generals who serve in Plateau State, who serve in Benue State, who will wake up the minute he hears that indigenous people are trying to go on a reprisal. But he will not do anything if the Fulanis are going to kill this indigenous to take over their land. So this is not, even after killing, they still come back there to occupy the land when the people are taken to IGP camp. What has the security services done? So this is the game.
All right, Dr.
People might make appointments, and the appointment may be wrong appointments.
All right, Dr. Ononju, talking about what you think the president should do, I'd like to quickly look at this from another angle just before we close right now. You mentioned Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, and the role he played in the ethnic cleansing in his state. Now, Nasiru El-Rufai is in the opposition. He's talking about coalition. Of course, he's a conspirator. He said it openly that they're going to conspire to remove Tinubu from power in 2027. If he has done all that, why is the president or why is the federal government at this time not prosecuting him? Is it that they don't have enough evidence on him? If truly Nasiru El-Rufai was involved in ethnic cleansing of his people in Kaduna State.
Yes. Because of he was involved in ethnic cleansing, President Tinubu refused to appoint him to office.
Why has he not been prosecuted?
And that was exactly, yes, he has stopped appointing him to the office and instead took the people who were cleansed and as the biggest appointment from Kaduna State. And that's how you saw General Christopher Musa, who came from the areas where the killings occur. Christopher Musa lost a lot of relations during El-Rufai's ethnic cleansing. So as a way to say, okay, you now come in, instead of complaining, come and make sure your people are protected. It's one thing to protect the people. It's another thing to seek justice for the wrongs of the past. Does the government have the wherewithal to do that? Yes. Do they have the political will to go on and do it? No. That's why, if you ask me, I don't know what Tinubu knows, that El-Rufai knows, that now is holding Tinubu from doing the right thing. But I can tell you, every god that we see in our local villages, these are local gods. You see them represented as idol. Any day they start to mess up, the community people will always remind that particular idol the tree from which they carved the idol. And so I say that to El-Rufai, let him continue. I have no doubt when Tinubu wants to do what he wants to do, he knows what to do. If they had enough information about his involvement in ethnic cleansings to keep him away from being appointed a minister, those informations are enough to also use to prosecute him. Absolutely. It is because of the inability of the government to have the political will to go against these people who sponsor terrorism. That's why terrorism has sustained. If the government will start showing them there are consequences for these terrorism actions and for their support of the militia people, I think we might start having the beginning of closure to this issue. Nigeria, so far, and Sierra Leone remain the only two countries along the Sahel who have not yet gotten a strong grip on this issue.
Thank you.
And I don't think it is rocket science. We can learn from Burkina Faso. We can learn from Mali. We can learn from Ghana how to deal with this. We are totally
out of time. The Director General of the Heritage Center, a leader of thought, Dr. Kachi Ononju, thank you, for your take on this program again on these issues. And may God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. May God bless our country, people, and save those who are being killed.
All right. Thank you very much. These will be the size of the program today. We've spoken on politics, opposition politics, governance and security or insecurity as we currently have it. It's a lot, and it's an ongoing conversation. Trust us to do right by it and say it as it is. Femi Ojo is my name. We will, allow you to take a look, where we started with Minister Wike, where he said he's been asked about who he's going to support come 2027, and he has the answer ready. Immediately we sign out now, you will have an opportunity to hear that, and of course, make up your mind. We'll make a return tomorrow. God bless Nigeria.
And Emeka Daniel is my name. Thank you once again, as usual, for joining us. Do have a wonderful day. Good morning.